What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Firmware 1.70. This is my first video actually going out, playing around with it out in the field to check out one of the new features that's included in this new firmware on the PENTAX K-3 Mark III. Now, before we get into this, I'm just going to do a quick explanation as to what exactly is this extra small selectable autofocus point. So in this chart here, it's not exactly to scale, but it'll give you a good idea as to what the differences are. So you have select autofocus, which is the blue square. So anything within this blue square can be tagged or caught by the autofocus system. So for example, this leaf, this branch here, the branches back here, any of these can confuse the autofocus system to latch onto the wrong item instead of the actual bird, which is your intended target. Now, I did test this in both AFC and AFS, and even in AFC, it did not hunt. It locked onto the target and it stayed there. There was no darting around or anything, no focusing in and out or getting confused. It just locked in place. And then we have select small, or select S, which is the previous smallest autofocus point, where you could still move the autofocus point around to where you wanted it. Now select AF, the one in the blue box, that would be the 5 reticle center area in the viewfinder. So it's 5 autofocus points linked together as one large autofocus point. And then we have select extra small, which is what I've labeled here in the red square. So as you can see, as we go down smaller and smaller, there's less distractions. However, even in select small, it could still catch this branch. It could still catch along here. Anything within this area can be a distraction to the camera's autofocus system, right? It might misjudge and think that this is what you're actually focusing on, depending on which one has more contrast. So the red would be representative of the extra small autofocus, which again works brilliantly for obvious reasons. You can see it's centered, zeroed right in on the bird itself. It's ignoring practically everything else. So how did this actually translate? I purposely went out and shot intended targets to try to push the limits and see exactly, does this improve things or is this more of the same? As you can see here, this branch, out of focus, leaning in towards slight focus, and the bird is completely and utterly sharp. No distractions for the autofocus system whatsoever. It latched on, no problem. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. And let's take a look at this nuthatch here, and same thing. Even though there's this branch here, it did not latch onto the branch, it didn't latch onto the other branch, it just, boom, targeted right on the bird, end of story. There was no second guessing anything. It was absolutely brilliant. And like I said, even in AFC, it stayed locked to the target. And here's another one. So all these branches in the background, sometimes the camera will hunt and it'll grab something from the background and then it'll pull back again. It just does this like forward, back, forward, back. However, this time, nothing. It was absolutely perfect. It didn't hunt. It didn't have any distractions whatsoever. It zeroed in right around this region here, right just for the bird. So this is a great addition to the rest of the autofocus points. The only thing is, because it is new, it just gives you more choices that you have to think about when you go out to actually shoot. That's the only thing. But for me, I mean, even this is absolutely crazy, the amount of branches and everything, and it literally didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat at all. It was just basically point and shoot. Like, that's really all it came down to. It was absolutely remarkable. I honestly was not expecting it to work that well. I knew that it would be an improvement, at least I was hoping, but I didn't think it would be, that millimeter of difference of improvement, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, here, look at this one. This is right in line. I mean, you can literally just pick this little section right here. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I mean, my new thing is the extra small. You can shoot through crazy, crazy congested scenes and zero in on your target. Let's see here. How crazy of a scene? Let's take a look at this guy. This was crazy. So this is a little off. It's also extremely high ISO, but this is way too much for it to actually handle. However, it does get better. It did actually get better. This one, I think it was when it was moving, so that's not a fault of the camera. That was more just bad timing. Let's go over to this one. Again, this is crazy high ISO, not the greatest conditions, but I was only focusing strictly on strictly focusing on the autofocus system. And this one here, even though there is noise reduction, I was still able to actually grab this region right here through all these branches. Yeah, it's wow. Wow. Look at that. I mean, that is a very, very difficult scene for any camera to pick up just that one element. And we finally have it in the new firmware for the K-3 Mark III. And if you haven't done the update yet, if you do have the camera, I highly suggest you do. It's a very, very good update. Very, very good update. I mean, even just for the other features that it has as well. And let's see, what was this one here? Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, this was, I can't even remember, 10,000 ISO or something? 25,600 ISO. And it was not the greatest lighting conditions either. It was very flat. But it did actually nail focus. It did nail focus, surprisingly. But even, I mean, when you're looking at the whole scene, you can see there's a lot of distractions all in this area here, right? So it actually does make a very, very big difference. And I just wanted to get this out there, show you guys exactly, you know, how good of a job it really does in actual usage. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you like the video, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Always helps out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you want to support the channel, that information's at the bottom of the description. I appreciate all my subscribers. Thank you guys all over the years for the support. And I'm going to keep pumping out videos as they pop into my head. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go. You'll see me on my next video. I'm out. Select small would be the, well, it was the older, smallest autofocus point that we were able to use. You know, selectable autofocus point.